Yeah, well, now's the time we tell people I'm going to shave my head. Getting close to that time.
The pre-show before the real show, it's when
we're live.
It's when we can be even less pro than we usually are.
Is that possible?
We're trying to refine our proness now.
I'm not sure it's possible for us to be less professional streamers than we are. So, but we can try. We can do our best. So, in honor of, I don't know if we can see it on camera. I'm gonna turn my camera down a little bit, but I wore Bigfoot punching a shark shirt today.
Excellent.
Wow.
Because that says America to me. So
hey, I got my white T-shirt on.
Yeah, I was gonna say Richard's one step away from a wife beater T-shirt.
Yeah.
I got any yellow stains in the armpits on that?
It might. I've been doing plumbing today. My task today was plumbing, so my pants are white with dust from using a saw to cut through porcelain on a sink to make it fit. And I got black goo from reconnecting the pipes all over me.
Where are you?
I am in Paris. And
wait, why are you working on a sink in Paris?
We have a little apartment here. We get instead of an Airbnb, we have an apartment, and I was making some repairs.
But is it your apartment?
It's our apartment.
Oh, okay. So you're.
Yes, it's in Parisian terms, it's a pied-à-terre.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, so since we come here every summer, and we decided to flip the Airbnb thing. We usually were renting a house, and half the time it had dishes you wouldn't want to eat out of, and showers that leaked, etc. So now I'm going to ditch the dishes we don't want to use, put some dishes in I want to use, and fix the sinks and showers, which is what I'm doing now.
I like it. So I've totally messed up my cameras trying to show off my Bigfoot
poster
punching shark thing.
Oh yeah.
And now it's
where do you get a Bigfoot punching a shark T-shirt? And who is the insane person? That seems like I've been in touch with a fair bit recently. Dicko Suave. That's the kind of thing Dicko would have drawn.
Oh yeah, Richard Mather, right?
You got it.
Yeah.
He lives up in New York.
Yeah. So there's actually a shop here in Austin that specializes in these shirts, and they have all sorts of crazy shirts like this, and that's where I got it.
I'm not surprised it's there in Austin, and I'm not surprised that you are a regular.
It was one of my Christmas presents for my daughter this year.
Wow.
Nice. Yeah.
And while we have time here, thank you Nubby Earwiggles for always getting in the first 100-bit hit up, and thank you iStar Strider, and then thank you times 10 there, Gravity 42. I'll try and make sure and say lots of stuff that you like hearing.
Hey, dang it! I don't see our that means their Twitch is going. I mean,
the Twitch is going.
Oh yeah, our Twitch is.
In fact, Skeggy Media just gave us a 35-person raid here, so the audience is building.
All right, I'm in there now too. What? And is that your machine we are watching there, Athos?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm going to zone to you.
Okay. Come on over. And I think I'd already warned people that you weren't going to be able to play, so Richard managed to get the VPN installed and get the client installed on that machine, so he is going to play.
Exactly. I wasn't sure I'd pull it off, but despite being a PC technology guy of the first, from the beginning, from before there was a PC actually, I am occasionally vexed when having to bring up a new machine and bring it all the way to developer standards on one 24-hour session. But that's what I did here because I took a little vacation before arriving here in Paris, and so I've really only been here for one full day, or a little more than one full day. So now I am settled, and I got this machine up and running, and I'm in. There I am. I'm in the game.
And in case people were wondering, the reason Richard
Let's go.
goes to Paris is because his lovely wife is from Paris, and her family is still there, somewhere right around there.
Just literally just down the street. So yes, indeed, my wife is a French American, and while my brother Robert and my sister Linda have no children, Letitia's parents had 9 and 11 children each, or siblings each, and so if our kids want to visit cousins, blood cousins, they have 0 in you're close to 0 in the United States, and a bazillion here in France. So we like to spend some time here so our kids can visit relatives.
And also, again, thank you, Skeggy, again, for joining us with your group of 35. And thank you, Kenneth. And thank you, Megatron, for the resub. And thank you, Snugzy1. Thank you, guys. We probably.
Hey, and is there any reason we're hanging in Oceana today, Atos, or was this an arbitrary spot?
I was actually doing some profiling yesterday. The machine I've got now actually can profile the game at full frame rate. Which is crazy, and it's actually uncovered some really important stuff. But I'd had people point me to Oceana as having some problems lately with stability, so I was actually in here trying to test out to see if something was going on. And I actually did uncover something that accounts for between 5 and 10% of our total frame time that I fixed in here. So, yay!
You know, I got to tell you, this is a 5-year-old or so laptop. And it used to be, even in the earlier versions of the game that were less richly detailed, shall we say, that I used to have difficulty playing on a machine like this. And this is running pretty silky smooth, I gotta say. Good job, team.
It comes up a little bit. This next release, I'm going to be doing quite a bit of focus. We didn't do anything really this last release, but we're going to be moving to new version of Unity. I already got one big optimization in, and I've got 2 or 3 other big ones highlighted that are all, again, aiming for pot performance to improve performance in situations like this.
And if any of you are in game and are not already friended to me, this is a good time to type /friend space Lord space British, and I will happily accept your friendship and add to my friends list, which throttles, it sends problems to the dev team, because oh, looky there, Fuzzy Fox, thank you very much, I appreciate it. You and I are now friends. And same thing with Shireen Death Warden. Oh, and whoa, there we go, there's a few of them, the Tacky Viskin, Cordelia Blackburn, Rastlin, oops, they're coming in faster than I can say them now, Zurinx, Zakurum, Tassi Viskin, Gyo, Geaux. That's like my last name. Go, I suppose you pronounce that. And the Green True Blade, all of you. Very nice to make your acquaintance. Glad to have you as friends. Sagewise, also. We are now all friends. And that way, whenever I get in, feel free to private message me. I'm very happy to. When I come in, I'm really just testing. Thank you, Thumper Ator. And I like to, when we're not on a live stream, just jump in and join a party and go out and adventure. And I do cheat a little bit, sorry. But that's how I like to play, too. So never be shy to ping me. And that's Irish Eyes as well, and Suarez, Saoirse, Swarse Estelle. Pardon me if I'm mispronouncing.
And for those who are new or weren't sure, I do have the question bot working again. So if you do !question space question, it'll go to a document for us so we don't miss it in chat, because it's so easy, especially if we do anything that involves people typing stuff. We always lose the question, so this captures it a lot better.
Kayosa Canavas, nice to be your friend as well. And to Zal, thank you for the happy birthday, and all the others that have sent me some happy birthday private messages. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, happy birthday in person, Richard.
Yeah, thanks. We actually came here pretty close. We actually had this one pretty darn close to my actual birthday.
Yeah, I think this might be the closest we've had one.
Brad Karma and Farrell Illistil and Toshi. Good to be your friends.
And we are 5 minutes from the start of the actual live stream.
Good karma. Thanks for the good karma.
All right, and I've got Beezus should be joining us. He's trying to get his laptop up and going to join in because his laptop has a built-in camera, and he does not have a camera on his computer. So we'll see, but he should be in shortly.
And Bo Vale wished me happy birthday. Said, "I hope it's not too hot there at the moment." It is, and you know, when I lived in New Hampshire, when my brother Robert lived up there, and we started Origin, actually, the first serious offices we had were in New Hampshire. No one up there had air conditioning except me, because and even though it was only super hot for a couple of months, that's enough. So yeah, so here in Paris, again, since it's not super hot most of the time. Pretty much nobody has air conditioning. You know, that's not my way to put in the portables and do whatever is required to chill it down a little bit. Parson Bar, good to make your friendship as well. And I caught up on a bunch of Steam friends also. If anybody would like to, feel free. I'm Lord British Rules, since somebody's squatting on Lord British here, and on my and Twitch, so feel free to friend Lord British Rules too, and I'm happy to connect that place too. And Nurse Molly, happy to be your friend.
You do. And thank you, Legion of Myth, for hosting one, and Snugsy one a second time.
And Mimner, thank you about the paper on your yearly paper on attenuation. Thank you very much for rewriting to me again.
We had a Strider Green asked, is there a special bonus when buying crowns today during the stream? Isn't there a 20% sale right now? That seems like a nice bonus, right?
I think there is.
Sometimes I give bonuses. I was given some bonuses yesterday, but the stuff I was doing yesterday was for spending crowns. Actually, I take that back. I gave them some fireworks if they bought some.
I'm just gonna do
Hey, it's Travis.
voice today.
We can see you. Oh, now we can't. Hey, Beezus is here.
You can still hear me, right?
We can still hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. I cracked a rib on Tuesday. It's gonna make everything sucky.
Yeah, that was a pretty violent car accident you were in, wasn't it? Totally car accident and having to get out and fight off some muggers and not anything stupid, right?
Then I wrecked my dirt bike.
Yep.
Yeah.
Went off the sweet jump.
Totally not getting old and just like throwing out the garbage.
Yeah.
All right, now I got to know what really happened.
I threw the wrong recycling in the wrong bin and thought I could dive in and grab it and just landed on my
Is that really what you did?
Yeah, there's no good story.
Yeah, you should come up with a better story.
Yeah.
Use
I
Chris's
think any
story.
story is a better story.
Yeah, that story sucks, man.
Yeah, it really was thrown out the trash.
Well, that's probably at least something few others can.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
And
Apparently I'm
well, hey,
that is why recycling sucks. All right, 1 minute till we officially start.
Hey, I see that it's 1 minute after 10, or well, 10 my time already.
Oh wait, no. Oh,
Yep,
that's
it
right.
is.
My system clock is again. This is Bobby's fault because he replaced the power supply in my computer. Oh yeah, we're 1 minute past. Oh, we should start. Richard, kick us off.
Hey, all right, everybody.
Yeah, come on,
Welcome. If you haven't already been hanging out here with us, bantering about, I am Richard Garriott, also known as Lord British, and we're very excited to have you here for release 67. 67? That's, interestingly, that's as old as I was a few days ago. And in fact, we are here to celebrate, of all things, my real birthday, which was, let's see, today's the 5th? It was
Happy
yesterday.
birthday.
It was yesterday. Yesterday was my actual real for serious birthday. Very ironic since I was born in Cambridge, England to American parents and then came back to America. So I didn't live in England for more than 2. But that gave me a good British passport and an interesting juxtaposition of a American independence birthday. But in any case, it's just a good excuse to have a party. And I appreciate everybody's good wishes that everybody's sending me in through the game and through Twitch, etc. But to tell you a little bit more about what we have in store for you during today's live stream, I'm going to pass it back over to none other than Mr. Starlong. Darkstar, take it away.
Okay, wait. Before I get started, though, I'm super distracted. Were you really 67 yesterday?
No.
No, I'm 68 now. 2 days. Well, wait, no, I'm 50. I'm 50. What am I? I'm 57. Going on 58.
I was really confused.
I was like, wow.
That's not
I was
true.
like, wait, you're way older than I thought.
You lose track when you get this old. You lose track.
I was very confused for a moment. I was like,
no, me too.
wow, this whole time.
I can't blame the drink because I've only had a little bit here so far. So, no, that's me. I screwed it up.
All right. Well, okay. So now I can get started. All right. So thanks, Richard, who is only 57, not 67.
No, I'm 58. I'm 58 now.
Oh, 58. Even more confusing.
Yeah. No, don't pay any
Even
attention
more
to me.
confusing.
Nope, don't pay attention to me. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Pro streamers, ladies and gentlemen. We are pro streamers on top of it all. I am Star Long. I am also known as Dark Star. I'm the executive producer of Shroud of the Avatar. With me today, we have Lord British, who has no idea how old he is. And his birthday was yesterday, which he is some undeterminate age, which apparently happens at some point. You just are some kind of indeterminate age. But we are a determinate age, 67. The game is 67, even if Lord British is not. So 67 months old. So that's how many releases we've done in a row. And after each release, we do a live stream where we talk about the release, we answer questions, we do deep dives, and we hand out prizes.
Prizes?
How many ways are there to be eligible to win a prize?
2.
Hi.
You guys are so good at this now. Like it only took 67 live streams.
No.
Oh,
Get there.
Can we tell you which the two are? It's a part of a challenge to say the two correctly.
I never test you guys on this, so usually I say it. But I'm interested to know if you're aware of the 2 ways that players can be eligible.
Since it's my birthday, can I say?
Sure.
You can either log into the game and type "Happy Birthday, Lord British." So if you log into the game and type "Happy Birthday, Lord British," that is all you have to do, and you are eligible to be in the drawing for a prize. Or if you purchase an item from our store during the live stream, you are also eligible to win a prize. The reason why you can get into the game, which you can play for free, and type that "Happy Birthday, Lord British," is because when you're doing drawings like this, the law states that there has to be a way that does not require money. It is the law that there has to be a way to do it without money. And so to do it without money, all you got to do is download the game, play the game, and type in "Happy Birthday, Lord British" into chat. But if you'd like, and it would make us happy, you can also purchase an item from the store during the live stream.
Yeah. And Bobby, who usually does our prize drawing, can't join us today because he is taking a much-deserved break for Independence Day festivities. So we are very confident because we are professionals that our very own Atos, Chris Spears, is going to be able to run the scripts that award the prizes, and they will appear magically in
I'm confident.
our instant messenger when he runs the script now.
Am I supposed
right,
to do
He
it
runs
now?
it now.
Check it out.
Wait,
He runs
you
the
really want me
prize
to do it now?
Stream now.
Okay,
Yeah,
hold
so
on.
check it
Does it
out.
now.
Do it.
All right, hold on. Let me get out. There's a lot of zombies in here. I got to take care of stuff.
Where are you?
So
On zone
while
two.
while he's doing that, we're gonna move on. All right. So release 67.
I'm running it.
We have some very exclusive rewards if you were part of our rewards program. We had a lot of people who were very excited by the hero themed rewards we had for release 65, and there were a few that we didn't, although we got a ton of them. There were a few that we didn't quite make it to, and players were very sad. So we decided that would be great to make for release 67, the themed rewards. So if you are part of the rewards program during release 67, you will get the dragonfly wings, the round striped shield with a star on it, and the golden jeweled gauntlet. Now, these have nothing to do with a certain hero themed movie that came very close to beating the box office records that Avatar got to. And any visual similarities are purely coincidental. Disney lawyers. So coincidence. All right, and we have prizes. So the Lord British basement hatch goes to Violet Green. The Lord British shield goes to Glimmer. The Lord British cloak goes to Amarth Shadow String. The Lord British versus Darkstar battle banner goes to Ian. Common misconception.
British, of course.
Common misconception. Lord British and Darkstar are not enemies. Chaos and the Virtues are not opposite. We are more like frenemies. Replenishing Fireworks Mega Set, which is awesome. It's got like a bazillion fireworks in it. Goes to Gravity. And the Observatory Village Home goes to Hondas. Congratulations, all of the winners of the prizes. And a bunch of those, all those Lord British items are part of the things that are expiring today, which is a great segue into my next topic, which is we have a bunch of things expiring today. So all of the Lord British recurring items are going to go away for until this time next year. So that includes all those Lord British themed items like the basement hatch, the Lord British shield, the Lord British cloak, the battle banner, all the red, white, and blue fireworks. So any fireworks that have red or white or blue colors in them, those are going to go away. Some of those might come back around Christmas time, but most of them are going to go away around until this time next year. And also, in celebration of Lord British's birthday, we put our crowns on sale for a very short time for 20%. And all of those items are going away at midnight tonight. So get them while they're hot. And there's a bunch of really cool things you can spend on them in our crown shop or on the store. And including one of the most interesting things is we have another round of vault items that went live yesterday, including the super rare Cloud Imperium Navy airship, which there were only 76 sold of a possible 150 in the initial round of those Navy airships. They're city-sized, and if you haven't seen that thing, it is amazing. There's one in Hometown you can go take a look at. Also, the Star Citizen aeronaut helmet, which has a radio built into it. So if you've been wanting a helmet wearable that's got a built-in radio, now's your opportunity. Virtue Clockwork Wings, one of the expired Adobe two-story homes, blackened Clockwork Dragon pet, the Fire Elemental statue, which was a stretch goal. One of the very first fireworks set we ever made, the 45-piece assortment set, is back temporarily, and one of the coolest instruments we ever made is the flaming bagpipes, which
it really was one of the coolest ones, actually. I mean, no question.
Which was one of those notorious stretch goals that we did when we were still drinking on air and we kind of dared ourselves to make that one of the stretch goals, and we did. It was not as bad as the 5-man nightmare, aka one-man band, but it was a close second, the flaming bagpipes. So, and we were inspired because of that video of the guy in the Darth Vader costume on the unicycle with the flaming bagpipes. We were like, we have to make one of those. So, there you go. And we have a bunch of things we're going to show off today. So we're going to talk about some of the cool crafting changes that our very own Beezus put in the game. Things like the ring necklaces changes, some of the new loot updates we made. And then we're going to talk about some of the new scenes that are going in. Chris has been working on a new dungeon. I know Travis has been working on a new dungeon as well. We were going to show off Ulfheim, but unfortunately Keith is feeling a little ill today, so we're going to have to save that for another live stream. And Chris, do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that got done this release that we hadn't even talked to players about, which is just part of us trying to be more agile and doing what really needs to be done. And I know players are really enjoying the new way artifacts work and are actually wanting to move some of that stuff into other crafting type stuff to maybe make some new raw materials out of. You get lots of raw materials and combine them into one to make something cooler. But no, great release. And by the way, I'm Chris Spears. I am the tech director on the project, but like everybody on the project, I do tons of stuff, including fight zombies. That's about it.
So, Release 67, if you haven't had a chance to play, you should check it out. There's some really cool stuff, including our very first keep and castle-sized homes ever. So Chris found this amazing pirate galleon on the Unity store, and we spent a bunch of time making that usable as a player home in the game. It is, and there's a keep and castle-size version of it. These things are monstrous. They are the largest homes we've ever made in the game, and the first time there's ever been a keep and castle-sized home. You can check those out if you haven't seen them yet. There's some in Hometown. There's water and dry dock versions, and then of course those were in preparation. Those were kind of our practice for the Lord of the Isle, which will be a castle-sized home as well. We did more polish on the new user experience. We made an option for doors so that they'll preserve the last state they were in, so you can now leave them sort of propped open. Chris worked on some new skills, also added a free camera mode in player-owned towns and player dungeons, so you can fly around in free camera mode. We call it slew as developers. And then B added material bonuses from when you craft rings and necklaces. So they now use the bonuses from the metal that you craft them with, so you can make gold and silver rings.
For me, thanks, B.
Yeah, and I know Lord British has wanted that for literally years. And then some loot improvements that are started in the outskirts, where loot you gain from creatures now has components in it. We'll talk about more detail in the next segment. A few releases ago, we added the option that you can hide your helmet. And we also now have the option that you can hide your back slot item, the hide cloak option, because now that cloaks have stat associated with them, everyone's wearing cloaks, but they want the option to hide those in case you want to show off your armor and things like that. So now we have an option to do that. Leaderboards for fishing. So now the leaderboards will track and display.
Love it.
Yeah. And that's going to be even cooler because in the next couple of releases, we're going to extend the trophy data that's displayed for the fishes so that right now it's only 1 decimal place. We're going to expand it so it's 2 decimal places, so there's more granularity. Because we track that data, we just don't display it. So that way, players can have a lot more granularity in their fishing contests. And we did some polish on the chat text colors because universal and zone chat were the same color, so it's really hard to tell the difference. And some bug fixes and more. And then there's a bunch of events happening this weekend. There's Gus Ball games. That reminds me, I forgot to put in this list. We did some improvements to the Gus Ball. So back when we very first implemented the Gus Ball, they had some physics. They weren't just they didn't just, like, when you use the gust on them, they didn't just stop. They actually had physics associated with them, but there were some bugs associated with it. So we had to disable that, but we finally got around to fixing that. So now they work with physics and it's networked properly and everything like that. So they actually work like we wanted them to originally. And so in celebration, there's some Gus Ball games this weekend. There's also the 2019 BMC Fair. And then next Friday, after our weekly live stream, I'll be DJing the Release 67 dance party. So, it's been a couple of months since I've gotten DJ because I was on vacation last month. So I'm excited about that. And then we've got all sorts of cool stuff coming up in 2019. Crafting specialization, which we're taking a slight direction change on that. So that's now going to be re-rolls. So when you choose a crafting specialization, you'll be able to re-roll when you do that. Grandmaster only affects mannequins, dyeable leather and plate, customizable NPC and combos, more loot improvements like the ones that started this release, more fishing, more weapons, more boss fights, and then of course episode 2, quest system revamp, journal revamp, theater system, treasure hunting, item affinity, taming expansions, customizable NPCs, expanded permission system, etc. Some of which we've already started on and we'll continue to expand on. And just our friendly annual reminder about looking for group. If you're in the game and you're going out adventuring or you're having an event, use Alt-F, start a group, advertise your event, or advertise that you're going adventuring, showing up with other people. It's never fun to go alone. So, when we'll talk more about why we're making the slight change in direction on the crafting specialization in our next segment. And just a reminder that we've got some expirations. Crowns are on sale for 20%, so it's a good time to stock up, and today is the last day of that. Yes, Vault Miltim, there is a looking for group system. Alt-F brings up the group. So 20% off on crowns all day today, but today is the last day, so stock up. Reminder, all the Lord British items are going away for the next year, although the 2019 Lord British cake is going to be going away completely today. Then a reminder, there's there's another round of vault items, including the Cloud Imperium Navy airship, which is like one of the coolest city homes there is. And there's only 76 of them in the game currently, so you could be 77.
In fact, of those 76, probably very few were actually placed. So, in fact, I'm trying to think about. I only know one that is nowhere it's placed. So there's probably a few more hiding around.
So lots and lots of cool stuff coming up, and things are expiring. So there you go.
Excellent. Well, are we about ready to get into that first deep dive, or we have some prizing to do?
No, we're prizes. Next prize will be at 3:30. We can start the crafting a little early.
All right, so I give the intro to it.
Yes, please.
Beezus, are you ready to talk?
Yeah, sure. I'm just making sure my levels are good.
All right. Well, I'll give you a little. Give it a couple minutes here. I'll give a little introduction. So, crafting, by the way, has been a personal favorite of mine since the days of Ultima Online. Really showed the power of what interconnected roles and relationships could be through a crafting system. I can't tell you what the joy and awe that I had, starting 20 and some odd years ago, watching players sit down in a virtual world, in this case Ultima Online, the first true massively multiplayer game, and watch the miners running out to get the ore, and watch the sword makers and armor makers forging it into various items to then turn around and sell it back out to the people who would be protecting the miners, the fighters and warriors that would be doing so. And since that day, the crafting systems have become more and more important and more rich. And I have to say that this team, in my mind, has done a phenomenally great job building one of the best systems to date. And it keeps just getting better and better, and we will, of course, continue to keep making it better and better. You already heard Star mention earlier that metals and jewelry are among the improvements that are coming in right now. And he also mentioned that is one that literally I put in the JIRA for, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, I think, at this point. And and as a wearer of personal silver jewelry that has been a lifelong companion of mine, the silver snake, I was specifically looking forward to that one feature. But we all have our own pet, parts of crafting that we, latch onto. I know there's a bunch of brewmeisters out there that we're really excited to when we begin to lay down casks of wine and spirits. And so this is going to continue to get richer and richer. I know Bee's made some really cool improvements this time around, so I'll pass it over to you, Bee, to tell everybody what the current state of the art is.
Yeah, it's funny that a lot of our ideas come from JIRAs that have been around for a while, and it's funny to always take the JIRAs that Richard has, and there's a lot of them that are in there now and still that are floating around, and sort of bring them to the forefront from those design ideas. And for the ring stuff specifically, a lot of times, there's kind of the way the game is and sort of the vision for the game, and you're always trying to get the game a step closer towards those sort of outside high-level ideas. And I think one for this is, it's good to have Richard's sort of feedback in there to kind of remind me to kind of go that direction, because, we did a certain thing with rings, and then the stuff that we added helped kind of expand it in a good way. And it's something that had been there for a while, but it's something that we finally got around to, because it kind of sets a precedence for what we're doing with loot and kind of how we're going back and resetting some things. So, it really is just that, we give different starting points for rings. You can still enchant and masterwork them, but this kind of goes back and then gives you some control of, based on the metal type, relates to certain stats. And I think, moving forward, we've got our 3 basic stats. And I think as we tie more materials and things to those, it works well because those scale well, and they also apply to a lot of different builds. So I think, whenever you have equipment and items that give you straight stats, that's going to apply, that's something that everyone wants. And I think when you're architecting the system and you're giving people new starting points for things like the rings and such, you want to give them some core stats, and then they will add enchantments and masterworks, along that route. But that's kind of sort of from the idea to kind of more the specifics of what we're doing with those materials, and then moving forward kind of doing a similar thing, as in trying to give people more starting points for their items, but having those starting points be bonuses that are pretty flexible, so that they have a common sort of starting point as they apply modifications on top of that, if that makes sense. But yeah, as far as the specifics, each of the rings and necklaces got 8 new recipes that use the materials.
Nice.
And all those recipes are similar in a sense that they use an X amount of material to make, the certain one. There are times where we get kind of imbalances to where something costs more than something else because fictionally we kind of did it that way. For example, like a ring and a necklace. Previously, those had different costs, and now we kind of normalize the cost of material because really they are just two separate slots. Now they have, different stats available, different modifiers available, and different things of that nature, but they are effectively, parallel from a weight perspective. So we kind of unified those recipes. So moving forward, we can kind of create more variants of rings and necklaces without worrying about sort of an extra imbalance related to those things. Trying to look at other stuff we've done. I think part of those new rings is goes into kind of the loot improvements that we've done, and part of that is just dropping components that players will have access to now, and that so that we can kind of incentivize the crafting system more. I think that's kind of the bottom line with a lot of the loot stuff that we've changed recently.
So when you say components, what do you mean specifically? Like components, like pre-crafted, like components that players would make, or these new unique components?
Yeah, I think a part of it is to look at our 4-step system. That there's sort of the materials that are raw, then there's refined, and there's components, and then there's final. And I think everyone has a good sense of every one of those except components, because those are just found in the crafting system. So I think part of teaching the player the crafting system is to kind of put more of those components to drop inside of weapons, so that you can kind of break the crafting system up into more steps, so that if whenever you looted lots of a low-level weapon, you got some low-level components, or at least a chance to get a component to then recraft a weapon, you can kind of learn different phases of the crafting system without having to learn every step of it. Because I think early on, without you getting access to components, you're just getting raw materials, and you have to go 4 steps to get to an item. And I think now that what we do is we try to, on a rare case, we drop a component that could normally come from a crafter. Now these are only the tier 1 metals, the sort of iron and copper, so it's the stuff that's very, very common. So it doesn't have much value intrinsically, but at least there's a chance that now whenever certain items drop, you're at least paying attention to the loot to find the stuff that you might have a great chance when you salvage it to get something that you can then make a full item out of. So these are just the sort of iron components and copper components. So these are ones that are kind of the tier 1 metal components have a chance to drop in a sense. And part of this too is to kind of start to develop tiers of metal, so that there is a tier 2 metal and requirements for that, and 3. And so I think if you're getting a chance to experience the crafting system through components, even if it is the tier 1 components, I think it'll help people have fun and understand the process of crafting weapons.
So this is like the steps that you might have had to take, like say in refinement, that you'll be able to theoretically quote save that step by getting these components. Then is that
correct?
What I'm?
It's basically, think of it as 4 steps. The raw step, which is just pulling it out of the ground.
Yeah.
The refinement, which is making it into a common ingot. It's at least processed. Mm-hmm. And then the third step is that component step. Now, previously, those mainly just existed on crafters because you really only got them in rare situations, But I think if you start to populate some of the low-level loot with these that are the lower-powered ones, then players start to understand, I can put components together to make an item. Like, I think if we want them to craft a sword, it's okay to give them, after you've salvaged, say, 50 swords, you get the parts to make a sword, effectively.
Cool.
And I think also it incentivizes you to watch the loot. I think a lot of times when the loot gets boring, it's because you're just like, okay, take all. You don't look, or at least, there's not much evaluation on should I take this or should I not. And I think that's one thing we've done is that now when an item drops that has a component, since a component means it gets a plus, then you'll see that it has a plus on the item from the perspective of just looking at the loot. I think you want to get people to where they're not having to mouse over and look inside of things to get a power level. So you will be going along and you'll see like a rusty sword drops, and then maybe a rusty sword +2 drops, which means that it has a component inside of it. So that maybe you pull that back. So I think the goal is to kind of improve loot and improve perception of loot from a perspective of not having to tooltip down to at least get some initial power level on something. And that's the great thing about our enchantment system. We set up this power level, to where items have pluses on them. And I think you could use low levels of that, +1, +2, +3, to designate rarity and effective power and power of component that might be in that item, so that you're looking for +3 items, right? What does that mean? It means different things. But I think if we can do that across the loot to where, there is some sort of hunt and peck from a high level +1 to +5, then I think, that can be successful from a fun perspective.
Cool. So then all of a sudden salvaging is now going to get a lot more stuff out of it than, because previously it was really mainly you're just getting scrap and patterns, right? And so now there's this whole third line of stuff that you're going to get out of it, right?
Certainly so. And in the salvage system, there's almost like the components are kind of turned down, not necessarily just the chances, but some of the ways we can drop them. So I've been kind of relooking at how I can classify some of the salvage data differently to be more generic, to where I won't need as much data and be able to do more stuff in a value sense and not a crafting sense. But it's just a way of re-architecting stuff, thinking about loot specifically and not thinking about crafting, that will allow salvaging of components to kind of be easier to implement and more broadly, across many things. But really is, like I said, that just 4 steps of crafting. And I think, people get the first one well. And I think, each step of the way to kind of make that, more compelling to players. And, there's always been, the fun, rare salvage to get a cool, unique thing. And we still want to add that. But this is almost like starting at the first and then moving forward through everything. So, dropping craftable or at least tier 1 metal components is the first step, but then also making unique ones. But certainly, and the idea too, to define a tier 2 metal that never does drop, right? I mean, I think the goal isn't to keep dropping crafting ones. The goal is to basically take the tier 1 ones, use those to incentivize loot, and then make a tier 2 one that is craftable only, but then also components that parallel that drop from creatures that aren't crafted, that are specific. Like we've done that before in certain places, and players like that. Either it's Torque Dolls has a unique handle or things of that nature. So certainly more of those, but try to add it from a base level to make loot more interesting, and then also, add it, like we always say, there's almost at the first of the game and the end of the game are the 2 places to add stuff. And so, this kind of goes back to a fundamental level and trying to figure out how to do it in a sweeping way using our current content, and then, go back and then figure out some of the unique special stuff, at the same time, using the same philosophy,
Cool. And so, and right now, that's, you can just find that in the outskirts, right?
Effectively, what we've done is started at the lowest tier, so 0 to 2. I've done it with all the rusty and dirty, effectively tier 0 weapons and armor.
Yeah.
So all the either rusty, shoddy, lesser, which is kind of the 3 tier 0s, or the dirty or rusty, which is kind of the tier 0 armors. So every one of those have a chance to drop tier 1 components. Like there's basically cloth armor. You'll get a dirty cloth armor +3 that has a chance to drop cotton bolts. So you can do the same thing with armor as well. So pretty much all the normal tier 0 weapons and all the tier 0 armor that's implemented for it. And those drop on basically tier 0 to 2 creatures. So it's almost done as a, equipment set, but that goes up to a certain difficulty. But a lot of fun things have kind of come out of this, of like, trying to come up with different profiles for different creatures. Like, think about something like a skeleton. Like a skeleton might not ever upgrade his armor or weapon. So we could do a thing to where skeletons like drop rusty weapons or rusty armor the whole time. Where like someone that is like a humanoid would upgrade their weapons more often. It might like sort of keep their stuff up to snuff. And it's in the same vein of like, don't have skeletons drop food because they probably wouldn't be eating it, or it should be moldy food. But I think you can almost do something like armor, like maybe the tier 10 skeletons are the ones that drop rusty armor, but then maybe they drop a unique component where you can't find a tier 10 rusty armor on like a barbarian because he wouldn't drop that. So I think it's going to be fun to sort of, as if we try to develop ways that armor is effectively conduit to components, ways that we can do that in the loot will be fun.
Prizes.
Yeah, I'm waiting to read them.
Oh, you want me to do a thing? And while we have a quick break here, let me also go thank Envico about, I don't even know, like 6 times or something. Oh, I'm going to die here. I'm not in God mode.
Yeah, thanks for all the bits and the follows and the subs. We haven't really been... Thank you, guys. There's been a bunch.
John Marcus and Bedonham for 500 bits and a bunch of follows and subs and all these other things. And I'm trying not to die. Okay, I'm just going to do God mode. Hold on. I got to do a drawing or else people are going to go revolt. All right, here we go. It's going, getting ready. Hold on. I'm doing a lot of work here. Typing out as fast as I can. Hold on. It's almost ready. It's going. I think I got it. Hold on. Looking. Double checking my math. Any second now. And I'm going to type it out real fast for you. Here you go, Star. Right there.
All right. So, Lily Bird wins the Lord British Basement Hatch. Archie Colo wins the Lord British Shield. Go wins the Lord British Cloak. Sarah Parton Shirkin wins the Lord British versus Dark Star Battle Banner. Felden Grimshaw wins the Replenishing Fireworks Mega Set, which is huge, has so many fireworks in it. And Konomi wins the Observatory Village Home, which is like a miniature version of Britannia Manor, which is Richard's former home, which was sadly leveled.
Some people may not have known that. You may have just made a lot of people really sad. They probably had that on their bucket list to go visit it sometime.
Yeah, no. The version of his home with the observatory built into it was sadly taken to the ground.
Well, they had to go below ground because there was actually a basement in it. There's actually a dungeon in the basement, so I guess it went below ground.
Yeah, they probably went all the way down to below ground. All right, so back to the crafting stuff. So I don't know why this person keeps asking, is that Starlong? Yes, that is me, Starlong. I don't know why they keep asking that.
Who is that?
I don't know. So, not sure why they keep doing that.
I'll put you guys back on grid view now that B is off.
Oh, sorry. Yes, Osiris White. I am Starlong. We introduced ourselves at the beginning of the live stream. Are you Osiris White? Is that really you?
The Osiris White?
I think it is the Osiris White. It's very impressive. Thank you for joining us. We're very, very appreciative of you being here. All right. So here we are with our live stream. This section we are talking about a bunch of the crafting changes. So B, we also, or is B still here? Or did we
He's
lose
still
B?
here.
No,
Nope.
I'm still here.
Oh, okay. So we also added finally, we got the rings and the necklaces. So before this, though, there were only like just sort of decorative items that filled in a slot, and then there was like one artifact, right, that you could put in the slot. Oh, there was a ring that you could get from fishing, right, that had...
I mean, they
like
had
an
these
ancient
before.
ring.
You could put a gem in them and get attenuation, but nothing major.
Yeah, you could still gem and ring, enchant and masterwork them in the same
Oh,
thing.
I see.
They just didn't have any default stats. So basically,
Okay.
they effectively was like, here's a ring or a necklace for the slot. So that's why I call them now, like the old ones that like they used to be called ring, and now it is a metal ring and a metal necklace because they're made from blacksmithing, and then they're made from the metal scraps, plus basically a metal ingot. So effectively, we have metal rings and metal necklaces. So I think the goal eventually would, and this also came from working with taming. So one thing we did a couple of releases ago was I was adding a new taming necklace that was a lower tier necklace, right? So that someone could, when they started the game, buy a taming necklace on a merchant and then get a collar and then tame. Now that necklace had a lower durability and it made it harder. I believe it took longer to tame, or there were some ways that your skills were less because it was intro necklace, and that was a wooden necklace. So I think the goal was then there. Now what we're saying is, this is a metal necklace. We could effectively have, a wooden ring or a different type of other ring that then has different types of enchantments on it. I think the whole thing is when you put those metal types on it and then tie it to that, then it allows us to kind of then diversify that as well. Like maybe you could see something along those lines. But effectively, you have a metal ring and a metal necklace, where before it was a ring and a necklace that just took up a slot, and then now they have specific metal types as well.
Cool. And so, and can they also use the metal component stuff that we were just talking about?
Well,
or do they just do they only use like the base metal?
Well, effectively, they go from ingots to the rings and necklaces. You can almost think the ring and necklace as a component that you can wear, because you can enchant it and perhaps use it in other crafts. But it just basically, when you put the the sort of gold, the specific metal, then we have one that becomes generic, that becomes the newbie version, which is where our old one was. And I think we can kind of do that, with other stuff as well.
Cool. So I'm gonna switch topics because this is kind of a hot one, and I thought it would be good while we have all of us on air. Although it's going to be hard to get Chris's attention.
I'm fighting zombies.
Maybe he could pause to fight zombies so he could participate in the conversation.
He can listen.
I'll survive.
So one of the things that we have been talking about for a while is crafting specialization. So we have combat and magic specialization. So that's the idea that once you get up to a certain level, you can choose a specialization, which confers a bunch of unique bonuses, but you can't have a lot of specializations. That's the whole point. You can only choose, one or two specializations. And so the idea was that we would do something similar for crafting. And off the cuff, I came up with a just sort of like napkin, paper napkin design. And for those of you who don't know, that the paper napkin design means is like, at lunch, you just riff on some ideas, and it's a rough idea, but you don't go into a lot of detail, and then you sort of go from there. So that was my sort of paper napkin idea was, okay, well, super easy. Like, let's just say you pick one, like smithing or tailoring or carpentry, and then you bypass all of the randomness of the effects of enchanting or masterworking. You get to just choose your effect. And again, that was just sort of off the cuff. And then I just kept repeating that, and I repeated it in every live stream and blah, blah, blah. And then everyone was like, oh my God, this sounds great. But when we started to actually design it in detail, we realized there's a lot of game economic downsides if we actually remove all of the randomness from that crafting, because there's a whole game economy that's based on the rarity of all of those items. right? And if everyone can just choose exactly what effects they want, everyone's just going to create the exact same item they want, and there's going to be no economy of items left at that point. So, especially because everyone has alts. So everyone has multiple characters, and so that would basically overnight just destroy any semblance of a game economy. So we're not going to do away with randomness or choice completely, but we're going to come up with somewhere in between, which is basically when you choose and Chris and B can jump in at any moment here and correct me, but basically instead of choose your effect from specialization, it's going to be you're going to get to re-roll when you have a specialization.
Yes, and it's going to be a chance to re-roll is basically what it's going to be, depending on what your specialization level is. So each time it comes up. So it'll prevent some. And there's a couple things that this also allows us to do is by making it still a chance, like you have a chance to re-roll, it allows us to add in some extra stuff. So we're actually making it even more random. That's one of the things I'd mentioned was many players are screaming, remove all randomness from crafting, which of course we can't do. It would destroy the economy. That's like half the economy is the crafting stuff. But by adding more things, that's the other thing they wanted is add more options for things. That actually increases the randomness of it. So what we're going to be doing is B is working on, and B can jump in and correct me on this stuff if he wants to, but we're going to be adding, it's right now everything is a 1 equal chance to happen. So if you have 10 things, guess what? You got a 1 in 10 chance of each thing. So we're going to be moving that so that it's actually weighted chances. So there will be some rare effects that'll come up, and some of those may be added based on what skills you have, which makes the reroll even more important because you can have more chances for those rare ones.
I'll say something. It's basically that, when you look at the system, there's things it does well and things it doesn't do well. And when it's set up like this random system, then when you let people choose, it doesn't do that well. But the other thing too is when we look at it, we have a chance to kind of go back and fix it in a way to sort of accentuate the strengths of it. And I think one of the thing about reroll is, you with that you want to sort of dig for something. You want a reason to reroll. And I think whenever we add that weighted ability, then we can truly have that there are rare things even at lower skill levels. As your skill levels get higher, then the rare things are just more common. I think also we can go back and do things to like, if we have this rarity of things that you're looking for, then we can display that better in the enchantments. So when you're re-rolling for enchantments, you will see this is a +4 versus a +1 enchantment, and you'll know, oh, that's a rare enchantment because it's +4. Find some way to communicate the power and the rarity of the enchantment in the UI when you're selecting, so that at least gives you a first criteria to say, oh, I got 2 rares and a common or 3 commons or something of that nature. And then that also will give more reasons for skills to go up in a meaningful way, that you get a greater chance to get these particular rare enchantments. And I think we have a lot of stuff that we can do in the system that we haven't done yet. And one thing is like location enchants. Maybe you combine this with that somehow. I think if we could come up somehow with one certain enchant down the road. But just pointing out that there's a lot of stuff in the system that we're trying to exercise, and a lot of this is kind of the first step towards going back and looking at how can we get a lot of bang for buck out of some pretty simple stuff.
And crafting is going to be a major focus over the next couple of releases.
Yeah, and the plan on this, in case people are wondering the timeline, the plan is we're going to have at least the reroll part of this stuff live for 68. We're waiting on a few things, but we got Wizard Smoke is going to be making this his highest priority to get that in, because it's one of those things that, of course, it seems really simple, but when you have a game this big, all the crafting stuff, especially like this is all server side, it's all what we usually call escrow type stuff, because we don't want players to do what they used to do, which is they start crafting, and then if they don't get what they want on a roll, they just log out and log back in again. We're trying to avoid those type hacks. So there's a lot of stuff in it that's more complicated than it might seem. But we still believe it'll be in for this next release. I still believe it'll be in for this next release. We'll see.
Cool. And are there other craft changes that you guys are thinking about?
I think a lot of stuff that I've been doing is thinking about sort of tiering up a lot of recipes. I think one thing to think about, or that some people mentioned in a lot of hot topic with crafters is, we have a lot of decorations that have classifications in them, and a lot of times that was done. A classification is effectively when it allows more than one type of ingredient. So it allows like an iron or a copper, binding, and so whenever we do recipes, a lot of times we'll just throw together multiple classifications in a row. It's like, oh, it's like this piece of wood and this and this and this. Well, that means that with each one of those having 6 or 8 in them, when it gets to the end, then that's, the permutation-wise, that's 128 or so different unique recipes. And each one of those gives players a unique experience bump. And so I think part of it is going back and tiering up those things to where certain recipes can only take copper and iron of certain types, and then higher level recipes might take the upper tier metals. So a lot of it is, like I say, is like trying to set tier 1 metals as far as certain options, and tier 2 as a specific option, so that maybe you can make an upgraded version of a decoration. It just takes an upgraded type of materials. So just trying to do things like that. You can do it easier in sort of combat, in a sense. Like maybe there's different weapons you could, different core weapons you can make with that. But I think a lot of it's just tiering up the materials to try to have a higher level game inside of crafting.
Cool. And we're also talking about expanding the trophy system to, because right now we use the trophy system on fish only, but we've been talking about expanding it to work on creatures as well, right?
Yeah, I think part of the stuff, whenever we added the extra tamables a couple releases ago, was with that in mind.
Okay.
Because the idea is that, if we add a obsidian bear that just has a ferocious obsidian bear, and obsidian bear, and terrible obsidian bear, all of those drop obsidian bear heads, just different sizes. Kind of the same way fish work, right? So I think you're putting those, we added those extra permutations on with the idea that it would fit inside.
Oh, hold on, guys. I may have just accidentally. Oh no, there it is. Never mind. I got it.
Oh.
Sorry, I switched off the thing.
Oh. but certainly that's the idea, is to kind of go back and have a version of each of the trophy heads related to a brown bear, but then the scale of it is related to the drop from the bear, but then more difficult bear has a greater chance of dropping a bigger head. That's kind of the way it works. So that's why we're kind of trying to set up these different difficulty tiers for obsidian bear versus grizzly bear, or whatever we did to extend the wolf, whether it's the white wolf or the desert wolf or snow wolf. So I think that's the idea, is to kind of keep those like that. But yeah, the idea would be that have some random number. Length worked with fish. We have to come up with a specific number. I don't really like weight, because that has a different connotation, but we'll go with some number that is the comparison number for that.
Girth.
I mean, you could have like trophy value in a sense, like, hunters, like, what is a term to say, what is a 10, a valuable buck versus an unvaluable, it doesn't necessarily have to be a real world term. It's just a number of comparison,
Well, yeah.
Trophy points.
Yeah, on stags, they would use points for the rack, but we wouldn't be representing that. Girth. We'll say girth.
Yeah. But that's almost the the hardest problem. Other than data, that's kind of the hardest problem, is coming up with a term that doesn't sound idiotic.
But that's awesome. So I mean, theoretically, people could have hunting contests, right?
Well, that becomes the next whole thing, is, do we come up with some way that we can spawn these things? Or I always say, we need to revamp random encounters. Random encounters and hunting go hand in hand. So there's some way that every random encounter has a huntable creature above a certain point, and then that gives you a random one each time or something. But certainly we need to have some way that we have a fishing expedition to have a hunting expedition, and I don't know what that means because it's a different context, but we need to be able to have, some type of event during a certain window of time, right?
Well, or alternatively, those just happen on a larger time scale, right? And
Sure.
so a hunting contest is just something that takes a month,
Sure.
right?
But I just like the aspect that the cadence of the fishing tournament works well.
yeah,
So
it is pretty great. Yeah.
could you find a way to mimic that just because socially it's so cool? And maybe it's a thing where we open up a zone, like we make a zone that's a hunting zone that you can only get to during that time. And it's got tons of stuff. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something that, or, some way to associate with random encounters, but, something fun like that.
It's like those very sad staged hunts where they release the trophy animal like right in front of you, and then you like get to shoot it. It's like
Could be.
But we'll do a cool version of that.
Yeah, I mean, you want it, some way that players can dig and hunt for it when we're not online, but then some way we can incentivize it over a short amount of time that doesn't break things. And I think that's the cool thing about the trophies too is, while there is food loot on creatures, if we can keep it to where it can still be fun, or maybe a trophy version of creatures that only drop heads or don't drop loot, or I don't know, if we could do some dev thing to help out, we might have to do some dev version to help out with it. I don't know, but I think it's worth it to have something over a short amount of time that is repeatable, because that just works really well.
So we need Razorback destroyer hunting from airships. So it's like it's like the equivalent of what we do here in Texas, where they hunt the boars from helicopters.
Yeah. Shoot the hogs.
Yeah. So there you go. That's what we have to do. So we have to do crossbow hunting from airships of the Razorback destroyers. That's my challenge to the team, is for us to make that's the hunting expedition scene.
Oh, I don't want to make that the hunting expedition scene. That's sad.
Sounds like the kobolds would do it.
Yeah, so there you go. That's my challenge. Is that we have airship hunting.
How about a scene where you're given nothing but like a loincloth and a bow and like 8 arrows?
I like that.
Oh yeah, so yeah, there you go.
You gotta earn it.
Or what about if you are hunted?
It just randomly picks somebody who enters as their it.
Yeah, yeah.
As long as there's cannibalism, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that's cool. I'm looking forward to the expanding the trophy system to be more than the fish. I think that's going to be cool. And
I think there's also some room to expand the fish as well. I think fishing is another thing where, I try to slate to add a couple baits as we go, and still trying to get back to that. But I think there's also, ways we can maybe extend the edge of the fishing system just to have another size tier, because people like the randomness so much.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, it's going to be really, really rare, but we have a huge version added on past the large that is, 10 times more rare. We show the fishing competition show that people can catch these rare things in a short amount of time. So it's almost, you want to keep adding some rarity on to the end to kind of, give people that extra lottery chance. And if it is 1 in a billion, let's add a 1 in a billion fish just to celebrate someone that eventually gets it,
Yeah, totally. I think that'd be awesome. Yeah. All right, I think it's time for another prizing.
Thanks, Pete. That's cool stuff.
And then, it's all really great. I mean, it's just another example of how we can take the base system and iterate on it and expand upon it. So, and I know that it's always not necessarily in the order that everyone wants it in, but it just shows that we're committed to constantly improving and expanding. So there you go. So thanks, B, for doing that.
Sure, happy to be here.
Yeah.
And actually, I think the crafting stuff is kind of a good example of why we shouldn't just rush and check off check marks for things that we've said we were going to do in the past, but actually take a step back and re-examine anything we've said and not just blindly try to do it because we said we were going to do it, because I think the result is going to be much, much better in every case.
Yeah. All right. Prizes, Chris?
Yes, hold on. Let me work hard on that. Doing the thing, pulling the thingamajig. Switching the gizmo. Flipping a lever. For those who don't know, there's just a button that I click and it generates a list and prints it out. A lot of skill involved. Here we go. It's almost done. 5 seconds.
There it is. All right. The next round of prizes. And a reminder, how many ways can you be eligible for prizes?
2. Star, I just noticed each one of these prize sets is exactly the same. Was that intentional, or do we beat Bobby over the head? Like what
No,
they
it's
actually Okay.
No, it's always the same list.
Okay, I didn't know it was the same each time.
And you'll notice there's a theme to them, right? Because whose birthday is it?
British. I just thought we'd change it up. I hadn't paid that much attention to it.
Okay. Richard, would you like to explain how people can be eligible to the prizes, since it's... Oh, you're on mute.
Nom, 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 nom.
Oh, I am on mute. I've been
There you
muted
go.
for a long time. Bummer. Hey, Star, who gets that Lord British Spaceman hatch?
Oh, you could read the prizes. Do you
I
want to read the
can.
prizes?
But it's Morgana Pubgoer gets it. And who gets the Lord British Shield? Oh, well, that would be Zine Moonlight. Who's going to get the Lord British Cloak? That'd be Eric Palin.
Nice.
And the Lord British versus Dark Star Battle Banner, which is not really a versus, just you can tune it either way you want. I suggest Lord British, of course, is Raven Blackmore. You get that battle banner. The replenishing fireworks mega set, that goes to Zayden. And of course, Zaydeen, I suppose that I might pronounce that better. Pardon. And the Observatory Village Home, one of my favorites, goes to Holly Hawk. Holly Hawk, you get the Observatory Village Home. I hope you all enjoy your prizes. And Star, where are we going next?
Well, can you explain to the viewers how they could win these prizes?
That's right. If you want in on the next round of prizes, there are exactly two ways that you can get it. Get in on the drawing. One of them is if you make a purchase of anything from our store during the live stream. However, there is a second way, and that second way is absolutely free. You do not have to buy anything because that is the law. And so if you download the game, which is free, and you get in the game, which you can do therefore by free, and you type, what do you type?
It's your birthday.
Happy birthday, Lord British.
There it is. Yeah. Happy birthday, Lord British. If you tap Happy Birthday, Lord British into the chat, we capture that, and therefore you are also eligible for one of the prizes. And we have at least one or two more of those left here before the evening's out. That looked like 2, I'm guessing, based on the time. And so get in on the next 2 rounds by either buying something in the store, which would help support the game, help us make the game better for you. But if you would like also, if you already already got stuff and you're in the game, just type Happy Birthday Lord British into chat, and you will be eligible for the next round and the next round and the next round of prizing.
And to be clear, the purchase has to happen from the web store. We don't track purchases from the in-game crown store, so you have to buy some crowns from the crown store, and then you can spin them in the game in the crown store. So,
Indeed.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. So, Richard, how old are you?
Oh, let's see if I can calculate that. I am not 67 years old.
That's right. You're not. Correct answer.
So look, see, I've demonstrated that if you drink more, you remember more. And
that's right. Wait, that was like on WKRP when Johnny
Fever
got tested. Johnny Fever got tested on his reflexes,
right,
his driving reflexes,
and
the more he drank, the better he got.
That's when DUIs were
there
cool.
You go. Well, there you go. That's me, because I know I am not 67. I was 57. although yesterday was my actual honest-to-goodness birthday. July 4th, 1961 was the day I was born. That was 58 years ago. I am now 58.
Well, congratulations on making it this far.
58 orbits of the sun. I'm not too unhappy about that.
Well, congratulations, and always a
Happy
pleasure.
birthday,
Yeah.
British.
So,
Thank you.
So a bit of trivia before we move on to the next topic, because one of our prizes is the Observatory Village home, and you used to live in a house with an observatory built into it, right?
Indeed, that's true. In fact, that Observatory Village home, as I said when we were giving out the prize, is one of my favorites because just for that reason.
And didn't it have to be built in a special way or something? Be like not built into the house, quote unquote.
Yes, exactly, because it was traditional wood framed house. So any wind on the house or people walking around the house would vibrate any telescope stand that was on the top of that would be on the third floor of the house at that point. And so it actually had to have with a steel structure that was built inside the entryway of the house. So you could, when you walked into the house, you would see this funky steel structure that went up and through the interior that was separated by a few inches from the actual house. And there was a hole in the roof that a post went up through, upon which the telescope was mounted. And that way, any wind or people walking around the house would not vibrate the telescope. So it was a very complicated little bit of engineering that went into stabilizing the telescope. Now, interestingly, since we're on random, unrelated trivia, one of the founders of National Instruments, who lives nearby me, also has an observatory. People always think his much bigger house is my house. He solved the same problem in a different way. He actually came over and looked at my house and saw how we did it. Normally, people who build professional telescopes build them on the ground because the ground is stable. He also wanted one on top of his house, but what he did is he built a giant tower out of stone and concrete. So his is a mountain, basically a mountain of stone and concrete, goes up to create the stability he needs for his telescope. So there are other ways to do it, but when we went to go do the engineering to do it, no architect on Earth, no observatory on Earth we called around all over the place. No one would give us any help because they're all going like, no, you're an idiot. You don't build them on top of your building. You build them on a foundation on the rock. You don't build them up in the air. And I was like, I know, but we want to build on the roof. Can you help us? And the answer is no, they can't help. So we did some original engineering.
Awesome. The more you know. And then shing. That's when the little rainbow graphic would go by. Shing.
Exactly.
The more you know. All right. All right. So I think we'll move on to our next segment. But before we do, just a reminder that all of the Lord British, in honor of his birthday, all of the Lord British items have been on sale in our Crown Shop for a little while. They come back yearly. That's the Lord British cake. Well, that's just we make a new one every year. That comes with unique cupcakes and cake slices. The Lord British basement hatch, the Lord British shield, the Lord British fur cloak, and the Lord British Dark Star battle banner, and all of the red, white, and blue themed fireworks. Those will be going away at midnight, along with the 20% discount on the crown sale. We also did a massive 50% price reduction on all of the stretch goal, the episode 2 stretch goal stores related to mounts and all of the Make a Difference items. So we have a couple of more prize drawings that are going to happen before the end. And so if you want to get in those prize drawings, you could buy something from the Make a Difference store or the episode 2 stretch goal store and get in on the prize drawing.
Go for it.
And a reminder, we have items in the vault right now. The Cloud Imperium Navy airship, which there were only 76 sold in the first round. So you could be 77. And the Flaming Bagpipes, arguably the coolest bagpipes we have ever made.
I'll offer if anybody buys the Flaming Bagpipes and they mail me in-game, I'll give them a version of Scotland the Brave.
Oh, that's the in-game music system, right? So that they could play it on their bagpipes. So, all right.
All right. Are we headed over to world building?
Yes, we're going to talk about Tartarus, the dungeon that Chris has been playing
right
with.
now.
One you've been playing in the entire time?
Yep. And maybe Travis, I think you've been working on one on the side. Maybe we could show that off too.
I've shown it a couple times, and I haven't gotten much left, but I don't mind firing it up.
Sure.
It might be news to some people.
All
Let
right.
me give a little bit of a preamble, if I might, first, here before you guys run through the demos. You know, all of you who are playing the game know that the world of New Britannia gets richer and richer constantly. And that means not only in the visuals, the detail of the visuals, but also in the interactivity. And, you know, I believe that's one of the things that sets this world apart from a lot of other games. I mean, there are plenty of really beautiful games out there to play, but I am really proud of this team in the way that they've been able to combine an incredibly beautiful tapestry in which to go become immersed with the interactivity level that people have grown to expect for the games that this team produces. And I, for one, you know, both as a creator and as a player of the game, you know, am constantly, you know, amazed at what they've accomplished. So I'm going to enjoy this tour as much as you all will. I'm going to sit back, pass it over to you guys to show off the latest creations. Go ahead.
Were you ready,
So Chris,
Travis? I mean, I've already been showing off. We've been playing this entire time just because we needed a place to something to do as a backdrop instead of me looking at the ground the whole time. So we've been over here playing. So this, for those who hadn't seen it before, this is Tartarus. This is a map that I've made. I've actually live streamed the entire creation of the map. So you can actually get on YouTube. They're archived there. There's a couple of 8-hour sessions of me making this map while live streaming. And this is, again, trying to hit a few key things. This is kind of a room that I just added, the place we're in right now, that, again, when I make stuff, there's a couple things I'm trying to do. One, I'm trying to focus on game features that we can expand and use in other place and try to find some new mechanics. The other thing I'm frequently doing is trying to push limits in terms of what we've done in the past and whether or not we should do more of it in the future. This is one where I was actually trying to look at combat mechanics for wave encounters as we try to always make sure and improve those, just because they're a very popular mechanic, and trying to look at balance for those things and see if we can find any limits for those things and see what we can do to make them interesting. This was actually one with zombies. That last wave we saw, I think that was 30 zombies. And again, this is one of those things, as Richard mentioned, we continue to optimize every release and try to make things better and better every release. So this was actually a room I was trying to make for a couple things. One is there were a lot of people who were requesting more and more undead stuff. And I'm going to AFK farm here just by standing with auto attack on these guys. I'm going to count on Richard to carry me. But they wanted some undead type stuff. So this is actually the zombies. This whole level is basically zombies, slimes, and some crazy will-o-wisp. But it's kind of a tier 8, tier 10. This is really more 10 plus in here, just due to the carnage. It keeps trying to send me over the list. No, I don't want to join. Looks like I might be joining the list here in 60 seconds.
Alright, I'll just wait here then. I kept zoning back to you, and I think we were ping-ponging.
Yeah. But anyways, as you can see, this actually is shown with many of the optimizations we've had. It actually still holds up
Look at the massacre
well.
of bodies.
And this would also be when people would be saying, why don't you have a AE loot system in place? And it's like, because we want you to loot all this stuff.
So
It's fun.
Chris,
click.
when do you think Tartarus will go live officially?
So it is live officially now. There's actually an entrance to Tartarus. If you go to the Rise. Yes, there's a connection to the Rise down past the Dragon Room. There's, if anybody knows where the Scorpions are in the Rise, down in the mines. Just before you enter into that mines section, if you go to that next little room, there's a door on the right that you can get into Tartarus. It's officially live. It'd been kind of unofficially live last release because I pulled some players in to have them test it. forgetting that once you go into a zone, if you have it marked as such, that you can always teleport back to it for convenience, of course. And so, hey, guess what? Players were teleporting back to the zone even after I tried to kick them out. So I basically just left it like that for the entire release. But this release, it is live officially. You can get into it from the Rise. Also another pretty challenging scene.
Oh, so a good thing it was in the Release 67 patch notes.
Star,
Exactly.
the first rule of Tartarus is you don't talk about Tartarus.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay, maybe we
Good-
should have had
good
that in
thing
there, huh?
Yeah,
This has been a map that no one asked for except for some players who were on the morning stream who had been requesting more places because they didn't want to go to UT. They wanted more options. So I've just been adding to this as we go each release. So the thing I'd planned on putting live for this release was actually a third level that's a chaos level, just for Darkstar, who's picking on me.
Okay.
But I decided I didn't want to rush that. I actually, probably if I slew here, let me put on some night vision. I can probably get to it by slewing. Hold on. It's actually in here. Oh god, this is going to be challenging. Somewhere around here. Alright, this might have been a bad idea.
All right, so we'll just note it in Release 68 release notes, and we'll say that it went live in Release 67.
It did officially.
Yeah, you know.
Alright,
I'm
I'm not gonna
just
find
giving.
this
By the way,
Space
I've
in here.
noticed also that if you come in from the Rise and you use, I'm a very old school dungeon crawler in the sense of I was either the right hand rule or the left hand rule.
Are you,
Just
are
kind of-
you a right wall hugger or left wall hugger, LB?
I right wall hug first, and then once I find my way back to where I started, which I did here in this map, then I skip forward. I go right till the first intersection, then I go left, and then go back to doing rights. And so I very methodically try to break things open. And I've noticed this is a particularly bad map for that. You've made this to where there's plenty of loop back. So I spent plenty of time in barracks and toilet areas before I finally managed to find my way out into the main zombie areas you guys were in.
And Richard, you know I do that specifically for you, and that's the same reason the Rise has all that stuff in it, is because I know how you work, and I try to make sure and design it so it doesn't work for you.
I know. You jerk.
I'm a left wall hugger too, so I might lose you.
So players, the reason I'm giving Chris such a hard time is that I regularly give my team a hard time because, like, I spend all this time making the release notes that I send out for you guys, and I send multiple requests to the team saying, please read these before they go out live. And most of the time, they actually do a great job.
I read them, Star. They were very nice. Very nice.
Oh, look. Here's this hole in the floor.
I just
that
forgot
makes
to
me
add.
go back to this whole thing again. Don't go through the hole in the floor. Just takes you down to the toilets.
But invariably, there's something that goes live that's not in the release notes, and I always like shake my fist at the team like, that's why I send these out.
It's usually me, by the way.
No, it's not always you.
Oh, look, I'm in the fighting stall. How do I get back out to where all the zombies were again?
That's a secret door. There's a secret door in here because I heard somebody liked secret doors.
Wait, I do like secret doors. Is that here in the fencing stall?
Nope, that's back over here. You come to me.
Name.
But anyways, hopefully in the next release I'll get the Chaos area live, and also continue to expand the existing 2 levels in here.
Cool.
This is also, there's at least 2, and I just realized there's at least a couple more that I meant to add that I have checked out locally that I've never checked in that are sitting in a change list, which are the boss drops for that giant skeleton downstairs that I forgot to check those in. So that hat he's wearing is supposed to be an extra special hat, and that's currently not in there. Hey, look, it's Lord British.
Where is the damn secret door?
Kill the
Wait,
elves.
so the giant pirate skeleton dude?
Yeah,
He's supposed to have a special hat.
He's supposed to have special hats. His hat is actually special and glows if you look at him. He's got like a cool pirate hat on.
Yeah.
But there's another that's supposed to drop. There's supposed to be a unique hat that drops off him that has unique visuals and stats. And Richard, you're probably watching the stream here. You can see this little... Oh, no, you may not be watching it. There's a little spot right here in front. There you go.
Does he make you talk? Does the hat make you talk like a pirate?
Yes, that is actually part of it.
But Atos?
What? No, does
Atos?
it really?
Yes, it does make you
Atos.
talk like a pirate. Yeah?
I request...
I was joking. But
I
does it
request some indicator of that secret passageway on the opposite side of the wall here. Some like painting on the wall or something, you know?
I didn't make this art. This has always been our secret door art. There's a little...
No, I know that. I love
Hidden
this.
He's gonna put a clue in or something.
It's just such a long, straight hallway that I would never find it.
I like to do skeletons pointing at something. That's how I point out my secret doors. Which is a spoiler, so now everybody's gonna find all my secret doors.
All right, now I'm back down in zombie land. Oh, those guys self-heal quick.
And those zombies are really tough, by the way. This was me doing my attempt at zombies, which is really slow zombies that chase you forever. They'll actually chase you through, no matter how far you get away from them, these sewers, they will follow you. So you can't just ignore them. And for normal people, they're really tough and annoying. I don't think anyone would argue that they're annoying. Yeah, Richard, why don't you right while navigate through here?
I am.
This'll
I'm
be
sure to leave
great.
you nowhere. Down in the sewery bits underneath, going down deeper. There's plenty. Oh, there you are. There's some. Lots of people have died down here. That's always a good sign.
Yep.
Oh, there's the will-o-wisps you were talking about.
Yeah, and those, I think I actually have a problem with it. I actually gave them a different name, but the name, we have some issues where the name sometimes doesn't update. But yeah, those are they're a high-tier will-o-wisp that does some weird stuff. These zombies, you probably won't see it, Lord Cheater British, but these zombies actually drain focus, so there's a good reason to keep your distance from them. Which, of course, has made the melee guys out there, the sword wielders, the sword and board, and all those guys even more angry with me, because archers and magic users are already OP, but now like they don't have a good way to fight these guys because they just get all their focus drained pretty quick. I guess I'm cheating too.
Melee.
Melee? Melee?
Melee.
It's melee. Melee is like a texture.
Yeah, melee is
like this apple is melee. It's melee.
Not just texture. It's texture you don't want.
Yeah, it's melee.
Ooh, a diamond fragment. All right, let's see. Nope, he doesn't even remember which way he came in.
This is the way I'm going out. And it is the way I came in, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, never mind. I come back down.
But yeah, these sewers are extra confusing, but you can basically wander around them forever, and you'll continually find rooms and encounters and rooms and encounters in here. There's a few key rooms, though. There's about 4 key rooms.
In here. Man. Nobody bothered to light torches all the way along these walls forever and keep them lit with special magical oil for eons?
Trying to be realistic. It's a dark sewer.
Yeah.
I was joking.
Yeah. Oh, Richard, speaking of that, not to pimp somebody else's product while we're trying to sell ours.
Yeah?
But if you love the whole torches, I know you love the whole torches burning out thing and like darkness and everything, you should try Darkest Dungeon.
All right, Darkest Dungeon. I will check it out.
Oh, that's a good one.
Because, yeah, it's brutal and they play the whole
Yeah, don't get attached.
the torches burning out thing and.
Unless like a Calibeth, you had to have so much. You had to load yourself completely with food, or you would starve.
Yeah, they do all of that.
Look, I'm back in the will-o-wisp room.
You're gonna dig it.
I look
Mm-hmm.
at least it goes back up to where I was, isn't it? Dang it.
Well, we have a break here.
Okay.
I've missed a ton of people in there. I know Pifester gave 1,000. Iron Fist Warhammer, Nargle Snoop, thank you guys so much. Fenris McWrath Mythic, Stank Eye Marlin, thanks for the follow. Strider Green, thanks for the 200 bits. Sarah Dragon, thanks for the 500 bits. Thank you. Bedonham, Anuka, thank you for the follow. Synthetic. Lord British Rules, thank you for the... Oh, you ran me into a wall.
You are welcome.
But thank you guys all for the support. Did you find your way out yet? Uh-oh. But yeah, one of the things I wanted to try in here is normally we have pretty tight leashing distances. So again, this is a scene that has everything has like a leash that will lead them all the way across. And there's some pretty mean creatures kind of wandering around in here.
You're saying you can kite a bunch of shit after you?
Yeah, so it gives several things. One, it's kind of a new thing that, again, as I mentioned, I experiment when I make things and try out different modes to see what people like and don't like. So this was one of those experiments, see if I can get a contiguous nav mesh map for the entire scene so that things can chase you basically all the way train to zone type style. And I've been running around a lot here, but I haven't actually run into any rooms until now. Where's the exit out of here? There it is.
Yeah, dude, I am so lost down in these sewers.
Is that right wall algorithm working out for you there?
No, I'm going somewhere.
Is your little rat going to get a treat today?
I don't know. Hard to tell. These are large sewers.
But yeah, so anyways, if you guys want to, again, I made all of the stuff you've seen so far on live streams that are archived. Just me creating and putting stuff in there. About the only thing I didn't show was that last room that was the wave battle with zombies. That I'll continue to improve that. I think it's pretty boring right now. Again, that was trying to test out the 30 zombie wave and some fast zombie stuff that I need to create and a few other things. But
well, I got back to the Will-O-Wisp room after tons of sewers.
And there's two Will-O-Wisp rooms, and there's a room with the skeletons in it, and there's a room with slimes.
It's the same one. I'm gonna go from this room. I'm gonna go left wall now, because I'm sure that will do much better.
And of course, you won't notice, but the death metal slime. That's one of the tougher creatures in the game right now. Which the name from that was there was already a metallic slime in the game, but I wanted a metallic slime that had undead attributes and wouldn't fight undead. So I made a new metallic slime that was related to death magic and death stuff. So he's a death metal slime. Because I also try to have a sense of humor when I make my maps.
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm laughing inside where it counts. All right. Well, do we want to show off some of the stuff that Travis is working on before we sign off? And while
we're a minute early, but we could also do the giveaways for the next thing as well.
Let's do that before we switch over to Travis.
Yeah, I'll start zoning to it. Let me go ahead and let me start working on this. This is really hard. Hold on, I gotta start and let me do the thing. And I'll flip the switch.
While you're doing that, so So, but anybody that wants to get in this prizing before we're running it right now. So you may be too late to get in this, but there's 2 ways. Count them, 2 ways to get in all the prizing. You either have to go into the. You can either go to the store, the online store, and spend a little money with us during the live stream during this 2-hour block. That will make you eligible for any of these raffles. But by law, there has to also be a free way to do it, and the game is free to download. And so download the game, play the game, and in game you say, "Birthday, Lord Bruce," because yesterday was my honest goodness birthday, where I turned honest to goodnessly 58 years old, not 67, 58 years old. And so if you say happy birthday, Lord Bruce, in the game, A, I'll see it, and I would be thankful for that. And B, you would also be eligible for the prizes. And the current round of prizes coming up right now if Atos has run the Doom of Wachi.
Yeah, it's there. It's the 429 one.
All right, hang on. Let me switch over there. Where there it is mattermost. Oh, look, I see it. For me, it's 11:29. But yes, then if you will let me, I will give out the prizes here too. There, Darkstar.
Can you guys hear Lord British? Somebody
Okay,
said
I'll do it.
You may have been cut off.
Can you hear me, everybody?
No, I think they can hear.
Okay.
All right. So, the Lord British Basement Hatch goes to Vino Orland. The Lord British Shield that everyone should have goes to Lockie Abernathy. The Lord British Cloak, which would adorn anyone's attire wonderfully. That Lord British cloak goes to Kathy Earnshaw. The Lord British versus Darkstar Battle Banner, and not that Chaos and Virtue are enemies, because they're not. They're frenemies. That goes to Eradrek Morona. And the Replenishing Fireworks Mega Set, which is a great mega set because it includes an amazing array of replenishing fireworks. And I myself am a big fireworks player. At all the dance parties, I shoot off tons of fireworks, basically all that I have attained since then. The fireworks mega set goes to El Garoin.
Elgarion.
And the final one, the Observatory Village Home, which is one of my personal favorites because every home should have an observatory. I was just out in a desert this last week pointing out stars and constellations with my own kids. Observatories are great fun. The Observatory Village Home goes to Bedu. Bedu, congratulations on your observatory home. Back to you, Dark.
Great reading. By the way, that's Elgarion, not
El Groin.
Not Elgarion.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the correction.
All right. Okay, so Travis, your thing's probably not in game, right? We have to.
No.
Okay.
I'd rather put it in with minimum.
Right.
No.
You want to do
Okay,
your
so-
screen sharing? Oh, you are
I
doing
am
your
if you-
screen sharing.
Yep.
Well, all right.
So some of you've seen this
Let
already.
me full screen this on mine.
It'll just be another recap, and I'm going to talk about my ideas for it. I'm going to get some. My son's off with his grandparents, so I think I'm going to get some time this weekend to make this what I want. So the backstory was, and some of you guys have heard this, sorry for the recap, is at the very northern tip of Novia. And kind of teasing on episode 2 is a continent to the north. So all the northerners, kind of the Viking-themed people, all keep going on these quests to what they think is their afterlife, Avalon, whatever, not Ragnarok. Where did the Asgard?
You think of Valhalla?
Valhalla. Thank you. Sorry. Yes. So kind of their Albion or Avalon, Valhalla. And they keep coming here on these quests, but it's not what they think, and it's not going well. So there's a bunch of wrecked ships, and there'll be a bunch of dead corpses. Well, that's redundant, but a bunch of corpses of adventurers who didn't really make it well. And as we said before, as Chris has done his dungeon kind of in floors, like descending floors, I'm gonna do mine in wings, so it'll be like north, south, east, west. So one will come off of here. And it looks like I did a lighting pass and I did some particles here the other day, so that's not even in. So even this isn't the latest, so there's cooler stuff to come. And I've said before, I want super fast, low hit point, no loot zombies, just kind of a daisy horde of zombies coming at you. Fight your way up these platforms, so. A lot more in this style. I've worked on the second chasm here after this, but I'm not ready to show you guys that. There's no lighting pass or anything. And we still got to work on these lights. I think I put this up every stream, but I'm still waiting for it. Want my... oh man, now it's not it's cutting out at all. Anyways, that should be casting shadows and only shooting light out of the tower.
And in case anyone is wondering why the quality on this looks bad, it's a Skype stream on a Twitch stream.
Am I dropping frames?
Nah, you're probably okay. You gotta get that off the screen.
So Yeah, still need some tweaks with some light overrides to get the mood right for all these. And I'll have something new to show next Friday. So I know you guys have seen these same couple chambers, so there'll be extra parts to it coming soon that I can run around and show people.
Cool.
Like that's not polished. I'm sure that's a stuck spot. I'm not gonna hop in it, but yep, that's what I got so far on this. More coming that I'll show off probably this next Friday stream. So not today, but next Friday. So tune in for that.
Yeah, cool. Because you're also gonna maybe give us a little deck building.
Yeah, that was the thought. Maybe get some guest speakers even too on some high-level PvE people, and if they want to hop in our Discord and speak.
Cool. That'd be great. All right. Well, cool. So, do we have questions that have been being collected?
I certainly
Somewhere?
have a ton. You want me to hear? Let me paste them into the bottom of our document there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
'Cause,
there's like
we've got-
100.
Yeah. So we got 30 minutes, so we can start answering some of those. Just a reminder, if you want to join the rewards program, which is our monthly rewards program, that's $9.99 a month. You get crowns at a great rate. You get a unique title, and then each month you get a unique exclusive set of rewards. And this month, the Release 67 rewards are hero themed. They are some of the rewards that from Release 65 that we didn't make, but players were really sad about, so we decided to make them for this Release 67. So Dragonfly wings, a round striped shield with star and golden jeweled gauntlet, and any similarity between these items and a very popular hero themed movie are purely coincidental.
Very popular hero themed movie that made Star cry 3 times.
I didn't cry 3 times.
I thought it was 3 times. Was it not 3 times?
No.
Well,
maybe one time.
while I've interrupted you already, let me thank the Maynard. I think he gave like 100 bits, 200 bits, 300 bits, and 400 bits. And 500 bits. And Human Avatar and Rinaldi the Green Guy. Fuzzy Lark multiple times. And Kraken for the follow. Zuggins. And Nefarious Shadow Storm for the bits. And Larcius for the follow and the sub. And a lot of other people that have been pushed off my list of people, so I can't even see who they are to thank them. But thank you.
By the way, List, so I think your story is that you got into a cycling accident.
Right.
Get it?
BMX.
Well, no, just stop.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Oh, let their imagination.
No,
you-
cycling.
You got into a cycling
Oh,
accident.
yes,
It was a
I get it, sorry.
recycling accident.
Yeah.
But you just say, I got into a cycling
I got
accident.
into a cycling accident.
I mean,
Yeah,
it was
I
See?
broke a rib taking the garbage out. For people
Well, no.
who don't know.
right. But all you have to
Yeah,
say is
Cycling accident. That's
cycling.
great.
It was a recycling accident, but they don't need to know that re part. Just say cycling accident.
That's a good try.
Thanks. I'll be here all week.
Very punny.
Yeah. All right. So Celine, let's hit a bunch of questions before we have to sign off today. All right. Let's see. Celine Brightshadow asks, when will the mannequins be coming into the game? All right. So quick update on that. Technology is done. Justin, one and only, got the tech for it all done. All we need are the actual assets, and Damon, our artist, is working on the assets for that right now. So hopefully, could be as soon as 68, probably 69 at the latest. So we just need to finish the male and female mannequin assets and the poses for those. So should be super soon. So there you go. Let's see. Bedouin asks, can we get a default staff that's simple wood instead of the skulls? Yes, there's been so that has been a backlog task
I
in
remember the meeting
in,
that happened in.
in for like literally like years, and it was just because that was like a default Unity asset that just came with a bunch of other stuff, and it was like, boom, there we go. There's the staff, magic staff. It's got some skulls on it. Done. So yes, eventually that will get changed and updated. So yes. And feel free others to be scanning and picking up questions too, not just me. Hint, Chris.
Oh, I was replying to emails in game. Is that not what I should be doing? Oh, I see.
No.
Wait,
Are we on the
sorry.
stream?
Yeah, because people can't hear you replying to emails on the live stream. I'm not sure you knew that.
Ah,
But it's just like people can't hear you when you say things inside your head. So, or same like when you're driving through traffic.
Hey, well, the
Yell at
president of
people.
Earth asks, will they get the option to let people slew in town to designate, to shoot videos and stuff? But didn't you just talk about that, Star, where you said that that free cam method is coming on?
it's
That's
already
in
in. Yeah, they love it. It's so they can use it in. It can be used in player-owned dungeons if you're the owner of the dungeon, and it's not an adventure mode. It has to be in deco mode. And then it can be used in pots, currently only by the governors, but I'm probably going to be expanding that to be the governors and the, what do you call the second tier people? I forget what they're called, but the other people who can do stuff
People
in
have been
pots.
granted
Yeah.
power.
The second in command type people in that. So I'll be adding that so other people can do stuff. And I'll probably add that for multiple things. But anyways, yeah, they can already do that and they love it. And they, of course, did exactly what I said they would do, which is what everybody does when they get slew. Oh, Richard, they went to find Richard in a box. If you go and look. Do you even know about Richard in a box?
No. Tell me about Richard in a box.
So in every scene, and just to be clear, for those who haven't heard us talk about this, there is, this is a play on the Saturday Night Live skit that is...
Put a hole in the box.
Another-
Put a hole in the box. Put the box in. Put your junk in the box.
Put your Richard in the box. That's right. Somewhere down here, somewhere below the earth. Oh, I think I see him down there. There's actually a Richard, and we call him Richard in a box. Now, what it actually is another copy of you that's down there that we use for your.
Oh, it's 00.
Yeah, I think it's at 0, -1000, 0. But yeah, so it's down here. So players immediately went and found this because I had talked about it before, and I think I might have shown it one time. And so players immediately went to find that and were taking screenshots of it. They also went and flew outside the skybox. But anyways,
I'm gonna do that.
I mentioned that because like when I added it, I told people about it, and I was like, yeah, but I'm going to go ahead and cap it at 500, so you can't go more than 500 units from where you started. Because if I don't, you guys will do weird things. And they're like, no, don't do that. It'll cripple us. And it's like, all right, I won't do it. And then, of course, the players do it.
I'd like to interject real quick. I tried to type a link and it didn't go. People were asking if there's somewhere for videos that explain all the systems in Strata the Avatar, which is pretty complex, and there's a lot of them. And sodahelp, oneword.org is a compendium of tutorials and links, and it's kept current. I think Elgarian, Legion of Myth keeps it current and kind of curates the list. So yeah, there you go. I think that'll be a good link, because I'm not the stream driver, so it probably masked out my link. So there you go.
Let's see. Dark Sign 7 asked, does the hide cloak feature work for the backpacks too? Yes, it works for everything. That's why I was very careful to say backslide item hiding. So yes, it works for all backslide items. Elen Dragonfire says maps, heart. So I think she's referring to the fact that we're finally going to fix the map system, right?
That's all.
Yay. So that is, the system we had is kind of workable, but as we've seen, it works, but one, it's really stupidly slow. And two, we have some stability problems that are outside our control. And we only have one non-native DLL in the project, and it's for the map system that we use. That's a web interpreter. It's basically built off of Chrome, where it uses Chrome to embed stuff in there. But, so anyways, we're finally, after far too long, we're pulling the Band-Aid off. We're going and we're going to start rebuilding the map system from scratch. We're going to be using the data everywhere we can and try and making it feature complete. It's really going to be a matter of how we render it in-game that will speed things up. We're also going to be building the biggest chunk of the data into the client so that it loads much faster. It's currently very slow, but it'll be faster, more stable. It'll get rid of the one excuse that Unity has pointed to anytime we've talked to them about crashes. And we'll see how long it takes. I don't think it's going to take that long. Maybe a first pass version of it will be in for R68, but we'll see. One and Only and Undone are going to be working on it together, so both those guys are pretty awesome.
Hey, somebody asked if the chicken room should be added as a dungeon room. I think it should. Who has the chicken room?
I've heard that request before too.
I can add it. I'll add it for Sinash Kazagal, since he just gave us 5,000 bits and jumped to the top of the monthly cheer chart, and also thanks to Fuzzy Lark. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Oop of the Veil asks, where's the ferocious Arctic wolf mentioned in the R66 instructions? So we got most of the top tier tameable creatures, but there's still some on that spreadsheet that didn't quite make it in. And Travis took a much deserved vacation to go to wedding this release. So we would have got the rest in from that list but they'll definitely make it in for release 68.
Look for this next one, yeah.
Yeah. So that's one of the ones that didn't make it in that first pass. But we'll make sure it gets in.
Let's see. Lace Delamorte. Will we ever have crocodile hats to go for all the heads we've collected?
I want boots.
That would be a cool one. I mean, we've obviously got the crocodile head art, but that does take some art time. We'll have to see how loaded up Damon is, and maybe we can fit that in on somewhere along the line. That'd be a fun head to wear. Let's see. Anybody else got one ready? I'm digging.
Someone was asking about opening up the API to make custom UIs.
Is B still around?
No.
No. Oh. Yeah, that was a recipe question.
Dark Sign, does the hide cloak feature work for backpacks too? I believe it does. I believe it works for anything in the back slot.
I already answered that one.
Oh, did you? Okay.
I'm glad you answered it again.
Yeah.
I'm
good.
Sarah Dragon asks, is crafting specialization going to be a blacksmithing specialization or a blade masterwork specialization? That is a good one. I think we've gone back and forth on that. And so don't lawyer me on this one. I think we tended towards the bigger bucket, i.e. the blacksmithing specialist. I think it's been the bigger bucket, but we'll have to look at how the economic balance would be on that. So it might be the smaller bucket, which would be the blade masterwork one. So
hey Chris, I see you hovering near the same question that I've got highlighted here. Because I've got it highlighted because I sort of feel similarly, but I think there's a technology issue here involved. Eric Rules was noting about please increase the lootable area for fallen corpses. Right now I have to click on the feet of things that are big. I think it's because you have to be within the capsule and on the art of the creature. Is that correct?
Yeah, and that's one we just need to change how we do. When something dies, we should change the collision for it. What it does right now is you can imagine a troll. When we're trying to determine if you're fighting a troll, and we have a capsule that covers the majority of his body, and that's just kind of the fastest way. That's how most everything works. But the problem is things don't have consistent death animations, and bigger things have even bigger problems in that where they fall they fall outside their capsule, so it looks like you're looting it, but it's not. Again, that's one of those things. I'll get that on my list because that's not a huge task, and I know it's annoying to people. It only really matters for big stuff, and again, I know our in-game players are a little more tolerant, fortunately. But it still is super annoying. But yeah, and that is, again, it just things have very inconsistent death animations is where they end up.
Yeah, Skin and Dragons can be hard. Somebody was asking about in-game casino. So we don't want to do anything where we're legally liable or whatever, but we do want to give you the tools to create your own gaming parlors and fun. And I have a personal project I don't think I've told anybody about, and I'm writing a list of decos to make a life-size board game on a lot. And so if anybody has ideas, you guys will do a roll d6 and just kind of walk across the papers and read the notes on what happens to you in that tile. So if anybody has ideas for that, decos that would help support that, and systems, welcome to chime in with those.
Royu Spirituality Dragon asks, when will we ever be able to dye metal armor? Yes, the plan is to allow dyeing of metal and leather armor. However, it requires touching those to make sure that they'll work properly with the colored dyes, because right now they're set up to support the material colors for things like metal and leather, which are not nearly as bright and colorful as the color dyes. So we'll need to just go and touch each one to make sure that they look okay with that. But yes, that is the plan. So, but it's going to take a little bit.
And since I just saw, Fuzzy Lark gave 100 bits, Inner Shamfail for the follow, and U235 for the 100 bits, but since Snugsy1 just gave us 5,000 bits, apparently did not take kindly to Sinesh Kazagal jumping into the lead. It's very early in the month, by the way. But I'll answer a taming question, which is Upa the Veil asks, can we tame the bark Corpions? For those who don't know, there's bark Corpions in the basement of the Rise. That's another one of those where I try to work on game mechanics and try to make something that fits the space. And so it's very narrow passageways in a mine, but there's Corpions in there that have very, very deadly, long-lasting poison, but they move very slowly and they're small and a little hard to see in the brown background. So I can definitely get those in. I'm trying to figure out how I would balance them and make them interesting for you guys so you don't just end up using Destroyer Corpions every time. But yeah, I can definitely get those in. Again, they'd be a different visual and a different poison. That's probably about it.
And Star, here's a question for you, or at least I hope you can maybe find me some data on it. Somebody was, Irish Eyes was asking when we might ever see some more awareness items. We have the puzzle piece things that we're saying, maybe Down syndrome or some of the other things. I know we did those early on, kind of, influenced by people we were working with, so to speak, that were lobbying for those. Have we put any new ones in those ever since that first set, really, or is that something we actively do?
Yeah, we did a big pass of those last year, but that was when we had a larger team, so
yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So we did a bunch of blue items last year.
So anyway, never know. We might get back to it someday, but no time soon.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Pardon the European. I opened the window behind me, but we're hearing the European sirens now. Apologies for that.
Ooh,
no, but that's good.
Feels like I'm in a spy movie.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we knocked out a bunch of questions. I think we can just kind of go through the closing statements and do one last prizing. So just a reminder, if you're part of the rewards program, for Release 67, you'll get the 3 hero theme rewards: the Dragonfly Wings, the Round Striped Shield with the Star, and the Golden Jeweled Gauntlet. And also a reminder, there's a bunch of expirations happening today. So we've got crowns at a 20% discount, but that sale goes off tonight at midnight. There's a bunch of Lord British items that are available in the Crown Shop right now. The 2019 Lord British birthday cake will go away tonight at midnight. Won't be coming back. It might appear in the vault briefly later on a year or two from now, but it's probably 2 years from now, but it's going to go away for a long time. And then there's the yearly recurring Lord British items: the basement hatch, the shield, the fur cloak, the battle banner, and all the red, white, and blue fireworks. So get those while you can. We've also done a 50% price reduction on everything in the Make a Difference stores and the Stretch Goal store. So if you've had your eye on some items in there, check them out. You might be interested to get something there. And then there's another round of items in the vault, including the super amazing Cloud Imperium Navy airship city-sized home, which is a really cool home, which we only ever sold 76 of those. So one of the rarer city-sized homes that we've ever had. And the flaming bagpipes, which is, of course, one of the coolest musical instruments we've ever made, and another 7 or so items that are only available for the next 2 weeks. And if you haven't checked out Release 67, there's a bunch of cool stuff, including our very first keep and castle sized homes ever, the giant pirate galleons. You can check them out in Hometown if you haven't ever seen them. We did some more polish on the new user experience, a new option to preserve the state of your doors so you can prop them open finally, and they'll be that way when you come back, which is great. Some new taming skills to help balance your summoned creatures, the slew camera mode, the one we were just talking about, so you can see Richard in a box. The material bonuses for crafted rings and necklaces, components that you get from looted items from low-level creatures, the hide backslot item feature, phishing leaderboards, polish for chat text, and a bunch of bug fixes all happened in Release 60. Oh, and gust ball physics improvements. So the gust ball actually acts more like a ball for the first time. So, and in honor of that, this weekend they're having gust ball games.
Cool.
So check those out.
Where's that happening?
I don't know. You have to check it out in the events section of the forums.
Check out the event section.
I think there's also a big fishing tournament this week, and I gave out some trophies for somebody who's running a 24-hour fishing tournament.
Actually, I think the gust ball games are tonight, and then tomorrow is the 2019 BMC Fair, and then next Friday, right after the live stream, will be the Release 67 dance party, which I will be DJing my very own self. Oh, and I see in Twitch chat, President Bird says the gust ball games will be in S-Mart Factorium on Sunday.
Shop
Well,
smart.
all right. Well, I have the prizes. I see Atos put up the prizes. Shall I hand them out?
Yes,
Look for the
please.
names again.
All right. Well, I am, I can't say anything about the pronunciation, but I will give it a shot. The Lord British Basement Hatch. Oh, goes to a doozy of a name. Dierier von Satan. Dierier von Satan gets the Lord British Basement Hatch. The Lord British Shield, which will protect any virtuous person, goes to Sorthius. The Lord British Cloak, which would go well with any attire, of course, goes to Garion Greentree. And the Lord British versus Darkstar Battle Banner, which is not because it's a battle. You can actually select whichever one you'd like to show. Virtue, Chaos, Frenemies. I suggest the Lord British side, of course. Goes to Revelox. The replenishing fireworks mega set with all the abundance of fireworks that comes back on a regular basis goes to Duncan McLeod. And the observatory village home, because every home deserves an observatory, goes to Stu Fu. Stu Fu.
Cool.
Enjoy your new observatory village home.
Cool.
All right. Well, Star, I think that brings us to the end of the evening, does it not?
That is the end. You don't have to go home, folks, but you can't stay here.
We will find you a place
And
to stay, though.
And we didn't do it at the beginning, so we got to do it at the end, where we are so thankful to all of you for helping us create this world. We could not do this without your support. You
Thanks,
guys have
everybody.
done a phenomenal job of supporting us, not just fiscally, which has been obviously critical and important, but also with the design feedback and the emotional support in the game playing and being a part of our amazing community that has helped us know so many ways and made it really a joy for us to be here with you. And thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, thank you. It's always a joy. Thank you, community. You are amazing. I always like to say, take a moment next time you're in the game, look around at everything you see, look at the sword in your hand, look at the grass in the ground, look at the storm rolling in. You made that happen. We are a crowd-funded, crowd-supported, crowd-created game, and you made that happen. So thank yourself.
And
Thank you, guys.
I will also like to thank people and also remind you, if you want to hear us blathering some more, I do try to stream once a day during the weekdays and sometimes on the weekends, so keep an eye out for that. Just make sure and follow the channel. You'll get in there. And Star, I was distracted here because I'm looking for what stream we should raid. I think I'm torn between Necronut and Strider Green. Famines is on there, but I've rated him. I rate him fairly often here. But let's see. Necronut's got 129 followers, and Strider Green has 126. It looks like one is in Oracle Colossus. Let's do Strider Green since it's Richard's birthday, and he'd want to show off Oracle Colossus more than I think what
Cool.
Necronut's
Yeah, Strider,
doing.
Strider. Do it, Strider. Go to Strider.
All right, we're doing him.
Have a good weekend, all.
Strider.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Great night.
We're going to have an awkward moment here because it takes a little while before we can raid. So now we can just all sit and stare at the camera
We
quietly.
do the police
Yeah, we can do
academy where we freeze.
Police squad.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. We're now able to raid. Thank you. And see you on other streams. And see you next Friday for another stream with everybody. Well, most everybody. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
See ya. Bye-bye.
And raid. And